for a day of live streaming. What's up, the internet? How you doing? I'm live on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all of these places. Getting ready for a day of live streaming on the EXP, which is the channel that I run. So I thought I would come and hang out with you guys and eat my lunch and kind of talk through what's going on with the EXP, what's going on with me, what's going on with the channel, all of that kind of stuff. So if you have any questions, throw it in the chat. But again, I am producer Kyle. I'm the executive producer of the EXP, which means I run everything in the background. Jay and JD, who, if you're watching on the EXP channels, you know, our other producers work with me to bring the channel to life every day. And I am getting ready for a full day of live streaming. So having lunch, doing all of those things. So today on the EXP, today on my channel, today on our channel, we are going to have a bunch of shows, including a new show. The new show, of course, being Comic Industry Insiders from Prana Direct Market Solutions and Managed Comics. But if you're watching on the EXP, if you're watching on TikTok, you don't know this, but if you're watching on the EXP, you know that this is not the first episode of the new show. We've actually done 2 episodes now. Those were both special episodes. So this is the first scheduled episode of Comic Industry Insiders, which is a show where people who are professionals in the comic book industry talk to you about things that matter to people who are professionals in the comic book industry. So sales data, marketing information, information about things like the publisher bankruptcy from last week with Diamond and the sort of changes to the comic book industry. So I thought it was interesting that we've had 2 episodes of a new show that's debuting this week before the first show ever actually happened. So that's fun. But beyond that, we have our new show, Welcome to Wonderland, which started last week. Coming back today, they had a great show last week where you have a chance to buy new comics that are released tomorrow in local comic shops tonight. So that's super fun as well. So again, I was just going to have lunch and kind of talk to you guys while I'm getting ready for the day. Starting to pull in the graphics for our show, Meant to Skim It, which is a comic review show that we do, where we talk about new books that are coming out tomorrow in local comic shops. We review them and then talk about them in sort of an in-depth way. So if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. I'd love to talk to you guys. But yeah, I'm just kind of eating my lunch and pulling comic book covers and getting ready for my day. So shout it out if you have a question. This week we're reviewing Barbarella #3, Epitaphs from the Abyss from EC Comics, Sonic the Hedgehog, The Best of Shadow, Terminator 4, TMNT Naruto #2, and a book that I'm very excited about, The Resurgence of the Valiant Universe finale. I'm excited about it only because the Valiant Universe has been really good and has been really interesting coming back now, now that it's gone to Alien Books. And Fred Van Lente's Resurgence of the Valiant Universe has been really, really good. So now that we're to the finale of the Resurgence, does that mean it's back? Does that mean it's fully resurged? What does that mean? And what does it mean for Valiant fans? So it'll be interesting to see what happened, what happens with that. Nick Smith, thanks for the likes over on TikTok. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, hit the like button there as well. Shout out any comments or questions you have, anything you want to talk about, comic book related, live streaming related, that kind of stuff. I'm more than happy to talk about it. Other review books this week: Patchwork Girl of Oz #1, Absolute Wonder Woman #4, Amazing Spider-Man 66, Doctor Doom Rocket Raccoon #1. Is Rocket Raccoon becoming the new Doctor Doom, or is Doctor Doom teaming up with Rocket Raccoon? We're going to have to read that book and find out. Amazing Spider-Man 66, which I'm told is a very important issue. Something to look out for. Doctor Doom, Rocket Raccoon, Fantastic Four 28, Uncanny X-Men #9. Can we talk about how great Gail Simone has been on Uncanny X-Men? Like, how great Gail's writing has been on that book. Just unbelievable. X-Men Xavier's Secret, and Trample #1. So I need to pull the covers for all of those books to get them ready to go on the air during our review show tonight. I'm going to start on that. But then at 3 o'clock, I have a show, which is Comic Industry Insiders Live, which is the first official episode of that show, even though we've had a couple of early kind of jumps on it because of breaking news. And because of New Year's, we've done some special episodes of that show. So, interesting books to review this week. Interesting concepts. So it's kind of fun to watch, kind of fun to see what's going on. Like I said, everybody shout out comments you might have or questions you have, particularly about comic books. That's what we're here to talk about, really, while I munch on some chicken nuggets and get some covers pulled. Amanda over on Instagram wants to know who is on the new show. The new show is hosted by Prana Direct Market Solutions, which is Adam Freeman. But he will be joined by Brian Garside of Managed Comics and Steph from Prana Direct Market Solutions, who is their producer and is one of the people there at Prana that helps with their regular podcast, Comic Industry Insiders. But then this week's episode, our guests are Phil Boyle of Coliseum of Comics. If you don't know Phil or Coliseum, then you've clearly never been to Florida. Phil owns one of the biggest, most successful comic book stores in the country, with multiple locations all throughout Florida. Rich Johnston of Bleeding Cool. Rich, has been a reporter on comic books for years and years and years. He will be joining us, as well as the publisher of Bad Egg Publishing, whose name is escaping me right now, but I'm going to pull it up right now here, just so I have it. But that is Robert Myers of Bad Egg Publishing will be joining us, as well as Ku Yu Liang from Bink. Ku is also an expert in buying and selling comic book businesses in particular. So we're going to talk about when is the time to buy a comic book business, when is the time to sell a comic book business, what does that look like, and how does that support the industry. So that will be we're calling it a TED Talk. It isn't really a TED Talk. Our keynote address for this particular episode will be on buying and selling comic book businesses. And when is a good time to sell your business? When is a good time to keep it? That kind of thing. Beyond that, we're going to talk headlines like, again, Diamond's bankruptcy from last week and some other stuff happening in the industry. As well as we're going to go through Prana Direct Market Solutions bestsellers list. Why does their bestsellers list matter? Well, Prana is one of the few companies out there who is actively tracking comic book sales. who is actively tracking data that is independent of distribution. For years and years and years, all the data we had for comic book sales came from the distribution level, not actually from the stores. So the idea of having someone tracking what's happening in stores is really important. So we're going to talk about their bestseller list. And kind of talk about some of the other things that are happening from the data perspective in the comic book industry. Ed over on YouTube, what's up, Eddie? One of the things that Prana and Managed Comics do is something called the fan confidence rating. The fan confidence rating is a way in which essentially we're tracking the fans' confidence in books coming out and books being published and whether or not those books are good. So August, September, October saw a big spike in the fan confidence rating. And then in November, it really came down and sort of leveled off in December. May saw a big dip. So essentially what's happened is we saw a big dip in May, a big spike in September, but overall 2024 was kind of flat. For everything we lost, we gained it back and kind of ended the year about where we started in terms of fan confidence. We're going to talk about this more on Comic Industry Insiders at 3:00 on the EXP. But in terms of the best-selling single issues, one of the things we can talk about is in the top 10, only 2 titles in the top 10 didn't have Absolute or Ultimate in front of them. Well, I guess, or Amazing. So from 10 back, Ultimate X-Men number 12, Transformers 17, X-Men 12, X-Men 11, Absolute Wonder Woman 5, Absolute Superman 4, Amazing Spider-Man 68, Amazing Spider-Man 67, Ultimate Spider-Man 14, and of course Absolute Batman number 5. So some of these books aren't even out yet, right? They're just solicited, they're just ordered. But stores are really confident in those orders. So it'll be interesting to see what the experts on our show have to say about this breakdown and have to say about how fan confidence is being reflected in these numbers. So that'll be fun to watch. Minute to Skim It is presenting a whole bunch of really cool opportunities in terms of books to review as well. So I'm excited to see what Jay and Jen think about what they read this week. Because I'm not actually getting to read this week because I'm running the new show. So we're going to see how those guys liked the books they got to read for this week. Does anybody out there on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch have any questions for me about the EXP? Have any questions for me about comic books or anything like that? And we could talk about any kind of topics you have. Have any questions about the EXP, about the streaming service itself, about how things are going, or about how things look, or why we do what we do, how we do what we do? So I'm an open book today. So please just throw your comments in the chat, and we will talk through it. While I try and find Sonic the Hedgehog, the Best of Shadow cover art. I'm sure it's here. I just have to find it. By the way, chicken nuggets on a cold day, Super smart idea for me. I'm really proud of myself for thinking about this. But yeah, like tell me what's up. Tell me what you want to know about comics, what you want to know about the EXP, what you want to know about our shows, what you want to know about pop culture stuff. Eddie says, I noticed some shows discontinuing. Is this Diamond related or is it just fluctuating schedules? Ed, Diamond has nothing to do with our schedule on the EXP. That said, as the situation with Diamond sort of plays out, it will cause people to have to reevaluate priorities, right? We had a few shows cancel last week, and that weren't on the air that normally would be, just because of people trying to figure out Diamond stuff, right? We had some shows on the air last week that wouldn't have been because we were trying to cover the Diamond stuff. The short answer is, while Diamond is not directly related, anytime something changes in the industry, it has a tendency to affect what we do here, if for no other reason than people's life has to change a little bit to accommodate that. It would make total sense for me if somebody like one of our LCS shows had to cancel a week because they're trying to figure out how to get books, or they're trying to provide a service for their customers that now they're having to do in a different way. That said, Ed, we're transitioning our Talking Shop show. Talking Shop will now be a little less frequent, but will be a little more heavy hitting, I would say. I want to turn Talking Shop into appointment viewing, appointment television, where we can sort of grow the viewership of that show, and provide a better return for the guests that come on that show. Similarly, we're creating some new shows because there is certainly interest in some new things that we're doing. So to answer Ed's question of why are some shows discontinuing, it has to do with people's job responsibilities and life responsibilities and having to sort of navigate an uncertain world in the comic industry right now, where you have, publishers who need more time focused on publishing, and you have retailers who need to spend more time focused on retailing, which sounds kind of like a cop-out, but when you consider that it used to be easy to get books, right? Everything used to come from one place, right? And then it went to 4 places. And now one of those places is maybe not anymore. And then publishers who are still working with that one place are moving to another place. And all of a sudden, it just takes a lot longer to figure out, where do I buy the thing that I need to buy from, right? Unfortunately, buying comic books to put in your store isn't like buying milk, right? Where you just know where to go in the store and you grab it and it's done. You've got to track, okay, so this publisher is at this distributor now, and I have an account for that distributor, or I don't have an account. I need to sign up for an account, create an account, that kind of thing. And at the same time, I have mechanisms built based on the way things used to be. So it's going to take a little bit longer for a publisher, or for retailers, to figure out how to order from publishers. And it's going to take publishers a little bit longer to figure out how to get books to retailers. So the shorter answer is there's going to be a lot of fluctuation in the short term, but long-term answers are, while there is a lot of fluctuation in the industry and here at the Experience because of it, hopefully we're going to be a lot smoother in the next couple of weeks now that we've got a little bit of clarity as to how things are actually going to go. And I hope that answers your question without being too roundabout about it. Anybody on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook or whatever, YouTube. Christina Strong asked a good question. Kyle's looking at your upcoming schedule. I see Friday, the Friday FOC show for retailers or customers. Is it for retailers or customers? It's for both, Christina. One of the cool things about that show is it's hosted by a retailer, Matthias Lewis from Nowhere Comics and Games. But it's put together in a way that there is information for everybody. The idea is that you can watch the show, then call your local comic shop and be like, hey, I want to order this book. I heard about it on FOC. Final order cutoff is the last day that local comic shops can edit their orders going to their distributors. So ideally, what's going to happen with that show and what I hope people are finding is that they can watch it as fans and call their retailers and say, hey, I want to order this book. Retailers are watching it and being informed about books they might have otherwise missed, or hearing from creators of books that, you know, maybe they weren't going to order, but now, oh, they've heard about it and they can get excited about it and they're going to want to order it. So it is for everybody. It's a great resource for retailers to have on in stores, but it's also a great resource for fans to be able to tune into and find out, you know, about books. Ordering at final order cutoff is so important to your local comic shop. I can't really emphasize that enough. As I just spent like 10 minutes talking to Eddie about how the industry is changing. Well, one of the things that we can do to help mitigate some of that chaos is have a good working relationship with our local comic shop and let our local comic shop know exactly what it is we want. That lets your LCS order exactly the right numbers. One of the biggest threats to local comic shops is over ordering and sitting on too much product. One of the big threats to local comic shops is then people not picking up product that they've ordered. Well, if you call them at FOC and place your order, you're more likely to go in and pick it up. But then your local comic shop is more likely to be able to know, hey, I can sell this many copies. So I don't need to worry so much about the amount I'm ordering, if that makes sense. So the FOC show is for everybody, much like the Wu-Tang Clan. But it has elements for everybody, and we always have a great guest. Not 100% sure who our guest is this week. I know who we were hoping to talk to, but we will see. Yeah, Christina, what's your shop name? I'd love to give you a shout out. Check out your content for your customers. We do our FOC show. It's relatively new, but our FOC show at a time when we hope that LCSs can put it on or can show it over the weekend in their shop. I'd love to give you a shout out for your own. I love when local comic shops embrace technology like streaming to help their customer base. Stronghold Collectibles. Very cool. Everybody, if you're here you're watching this after the stream is over, head over on YouTube for Stronghold Collectibles. I assume YouTube. And give them a little like and a follow. We love local comic shops. We love local collectible shops. We love the direct market here at The Experience. And I was a retailer. Oh, you do yours on Discord. Very cool. I was a retailer for 10 years, broadcaster before that, and broadcaster after that. So I find myself here doing this. But my passion has always been helping people to get comic books, helping people to get the collectibles they want. So shout out to anybody who's doing that. I have about 5 more minutes of my lunch, and then I have to jump into a meeting for Comics Pro. If you don't know what Comics Pro is and you're watching this, Comics Pro is really important to the comic book business. Comics Pro is the trade organization, essentially, that represents retailers and local comic shops. Comics Pro is the single voice from which we can all speak about our wants, needs, desires, challenges as comic book shops. Every year, Comics Pro puts on its annual meeting. Last couple of years, it's been in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This year, it's in Glendale, California. And comic book retailers from all over the world, mostly the United States and Canada, show up and spend 3 or 4 days having very frank, very oftentimes loud conversations with other comic book professionals, be it publishers, be it distributors, that kind of stuff. I don't want to say this and sound wrong, but I really feel like it's where a lot of the decisions for the comic book industry get made because the conversations get had. When you're all shut up in a hotel together 18 hours a day talking about this stuff, it's impossible to not have those conversations. So Comics Pro is super important. And I have been lucky the last couple of years, and hopefully again this year, to be able to facilitate the hybrid event planning, the hybrid event portion of Comics Pro. So even if you can't make it to California, you can still join Comics Pro virtually and participate in the roundtable discussions and the panel discussions and hear directly from the publishers who are presenting kind of what they're going to do for the next year to retailers. So I'm about to have a conversation about that in just a minute. So I have just enough time for one last question. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. Questions about comic books, questions about collectible industry, questions about games, toys, questions about pop culture. I'm happy to answer them. I think I'm going to do this show maybe once or twice a week now, where it's just I grab some lunch, I come and I sit with you guys and we chat and kind of just break down, kind of just have a hangout, kind of break down what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're feeling about pop culture and comic books. Since I'm not seeing any questions, I just want to real quick give a shout out to some members of our community. Found out on Friday that we lost our friend Mike Ferrero, who was the longtime owner and driving force behind Fat Jack's Comic Crypt in Philadelphia and in Oakley, New Jersey. Fat Jack's was one of the original direct market comic shops. They had been around for a really long time, and a lot of people in our business got their start because of Mike, because of Fat Jack's, because of that store. And we lost Mike on Friday. And so I just want to give a shout out to his friends, his family, his customers, the Philadelphia and New Jersey comic book scenes. everybody who is grieving his loss. Mike was a part of the experience for a minute with his shop and his staff, and they were always really good folks to work with. Really tried to do great stuff by the comic book community. And so when their shop unfortunately closed last year, that was really tough. But to find out about Mike's passing was really hard on a lot of us. So just want to give a shout out to those folks and say that our thoughts and prayers are with you. And obviously, we hope you're all okay. So thanks for having lunch with me. Thanks for talking while I pulled my covers for tonight's review show. What up, Don? Shout out to Winning It over on TikTok. What up, Don? So 3:00 Eastern today. Comic Industry Insiders live on the EXP on Prana Direct Market Solutions on Managed Comics. 7:00 Eastern, Minute to Skim It. Miss Jen and Jay are reading for review. I will be back here pressing the buttons. 8:00 Eastern, Welcome to Wonderland. New comics. Tomorrow's comics today. Tomorrow or tonight at 8:00. That's 8 to 10. And then at 10:00, Honest Henry from Chicago. Henry Compen brings you FOMO books and $1 and $2 books, run filler stuff, as well as some major keys to fill out your FOMO needs. So all of that is on the EXP YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitch. Minute to Skim It will be on Instagram as well. Shout out to everybody who's watching on my TikTok. Anybody who's watching around the internet. We will talk to you. Maybe I'll do another one of these on Thursday. We'll see how it's going. But I will talk to everybody very soon. Thanks a lot.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.